I'm Simon Goodall, I'm Chief Strategy Officer at Lowe Open. I came about it through a slightly backward route, I guess. I never really knew that I wanted to be part of an advertising agency. I did a physics degree, and when I left my physics degree, I kind of knew that I wasn't going to be a physicist, and I thought that I was interested in science communication. I wanted to help communicate kind of science to other people because I thought science was really interesting. And then, but I realised quite quickly that that was a fairly, it's like a load of people banging their heads against the wall trying to convince kids that science was interesting. So I sort of found myself looking at the communication part of science communication. Started thinking about how I might be able to do communication in general, and found myself in an agency in the late 90s, and that's how I fell into it. No, so I didn't go in really knowing anything about what agencies were or the types of jobs there were in agencies. I actually think it's a real problem we have as an industry. I'm not sure how clear it is the kind of jobs you can do. And also when I started out in the late 90s in the kind of agency I was in, there were no strategists and planners. So we went in and I was an account service person. I was running accounts, running business, kind of coming up with strategies, working with creatives a bit as well, but it was a very different kind of agency. But I quickly realised that the bit I really enjoyed was thinking about the strategy, thinking about the ideas, working with the creative teams to develop the work. So I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for Lowe Open, which means I really set the strategic direction for our agency, both in the UK and globally. We have a small network of agencies globally. So I'm responsible really for helping to create the tools and then helping to implement the strategies and run the planning team as well in the agency. I think that it's an interesting question because you have lots of different types of planners and strategists. I think I really like being in front of clients and explaining and articulating the strategies that we've created, and kind of I think I like being on stage really, ultimately, and performing. So I really enjoy that. I mean, I guess the other big part of the job is really going out and uncovering the insights and learning about people's behaviour and what they do and how that's going to translate into our creative briefs and eventually into our creative work. So that's great as well. But I think if I had to pick one thing, it would probably be being in the room and explaining and helping clients to kind of understand the story and the strategy we're trying to tell. Well, the biggest challenge I think for as an agency leader and a strategy leader is finding good talent. The biggest problem we have is finding really great people. Not because there's a shortage of talent, but because there's lots of actually we find it reasonably easy to find people who are starting out in their careers. Often people find us. What's harder is we find anyway, to find people and keep going get the right talent for people as we go through the careers at sort of more senior levels. I don't know why that is. I don't know but the industry I think does have a problem, and is, like I say, we try and do a lot. We try and do a lot at Lowe Open to attract young talent. We have a lot of young people that have come to us either directly from university, or we kind of run a few schemes to try and bring young talent in. But finding really great people continues to be the hardest job, I think, for our industry. In terms of work, I think the piece of work that I'm most proud of being involved with was something I did while at Saatchi & Saatchi X a few years ago, and it was Pampers and UNICEF campaign. It's quite a well-known campaign now, and the concept behind it was that every pack of Pampers you bought funded a vaccination against neonatal tetanus. And what was really interesting for us, that was a shopper marketing brief initially. It came into the UK as a shopper marketing problem, and now it's become a really huge part of Pampers' global campaign. It's activated, I think, in 50 markets around the world, and they've provided vaccinations for up to 500,000 children. So as a piece of work that I'm really proud to have been a part of, that's probably the one. I really had very little idea of what to expect from an agency career, I must be honest. When I first joined, I joined an agency that was really young, very entrepreneurial. So I guess I quite quickly knew that there were opportunities if you were willing to work hard, be entrepreneurial, try and make things happen. This was places that you could get a career and go places. I mean, when I joined the agency I joined, there were 70 people and there wasn't one parent working in that agency when we first joined. So it was quite fun, as you can imagine. It was quite a fun working environment, which has always been quite an important part of agency life. So I think I always thought, well, you know, I felt quite quickly that, okay, I think I can do well in agencies, but I really didn't know where it would take me. And, you know, I'm very pleased that it's taken me all around the world, worked with some amazing people, had a lot of fun, and hopefully done some good work. In terms of the future, I mean, we're trying to build. Lowe Open is still quite a young agency. We're only 4 or so years old. You know, we've been formed as the activation network within the wider Lowe group globally, but we're still quite small. So there's huge opportunity for us, and what we are really focused on is trying to grow into the world's most respected activation agency, and you know, that's both in terms of growing some scale, but actually the most important thing, the thing that I really, you know, that I'm really passionate about is delivering some really world-class work out of the agency that we have. So I hope that within the next few years, that's what we'll be doing.
Source LF are London's leading creative communications and media recruitment agency. Be sure to like our video and subscribe to this channel. Take the moment to watch another of our videos on screen now.